All right, what's good? Marc Cordon, Joy Revolution podcast. I am so stoked about this episode. I've got a person who can relate to all you folks over there in Wall Street. Huh? All the way down to the Ringling brothers, Barnum and Bailey circus. Is it still called Barnum and Bailey circus, or is it just Ringling?
I think they've updated it in the most recent iteration. It might just be Ringling. You'll have to look it up. You Google
circus.
Ringling, you'll find it.
Google Ringling. We got a podcast to do, right?
You'll find it. No longer affiliated. It's all from the
no longer affiliated. We're going to talk about all of that stuff, and sort of following this path where you can relate to finances, you can relate to communication, you can relate to sort of following your passion, or not even knowing what you're going to do with your life, and jumping on a bus and being a part of a clown school and a circus. So this person has done quite a bit, but I have to tell you, man, like, I think you and I have become pretty good friends, or at least from my side, I really appreciate talking to you. Aaron Schettler, what are you doing on my show?
Hey, Mark. Here? Thanks for having me. Yeah, I don't entirely know what I'm doing on your show, but
That's
really glad.
That's what friends do.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really glad to be on the show. We have become good friends. We're kindred spirits from different parts of the country.
And must I say, this is quite the man meat on the screen right now. Like, you with your like elegantly disheveled hair, and I'm like looking, I'm showing a way too much cleavage right now.
Yes.
And no one told me about that.
Yeah.
Why did you not warn me? Schettler, Manny, why did you
You look good. You look good.
Well, let's talk about this, right? It wouldn't be a shock to me that you had grown up as a shy person. It may be a shock to you that I was deathly shy. And I still am deathly shy. And if you see me around circles, I don't talk to people first. I allow the conversation to come to me. And I think that was one of the first things that I related to you about, because you were always like, I see the party,
yes, but
I never really step right in. And it sounds like that's been something that's always been with you since you were little.
Yeah, that's accurate, right? Like that's and I didn't know that about you, but it makes sense to me as well. I grew up, great family, right? Like a lot of times you'll hear people who've done things in their life and they had really hard childhoods.
That's like the 99% of people who come on the show,
right?
Which is amazing, right?
Great childhood. My parents are super loving and supportive. Mm-hmm. They're both retired teachers. They are kind of on an endless honeymoon, right?
Nice.
They, they're together. I've lost track of how many anniversaries, right? But like 4 years ago, I think it was 50, so they're probably 54, 55 years together, something like that.
That's huge, man.
I'm the oldest of three. I have a sister and a brother. And, both my parents were teachers. My mom, I think, is a little bit more like me. She's a little bit more quiet and analytical and likes to be in nature, right? But takes care of people. She's a nurturer. My father, he was always sort of my hero, right? Because you've probably known people like this, right? You might even be a person like this now, where you're in a room of people. It's mixed company and there's a hubbub going on, and all of a sudden somebody walks into the room and the room changes, right? And it changes for the better. Positive energy. All of a sudden there's like, whoa, somebody's here, right? So
yeah.
And that's my dad, right? Like that's my dad. It's always been my dad, right? He'll walk in and just it's more fun. The room is a happier place to be, right? People are a little bit more self-expressed, right? He just has an ease with people. And I've asked him, a lot about what he attributes that to. I mean, I know a big part of it was, the work he did with what's now Landmark. It used to be called Est way back in the day when he first did it. I don't think he credits it as much as I credit it just listening to him. But he also had...
He wasn't always like that? Like, as a kid, he didn't have that charisma?
Yeah, he was a pretty shy kid, too, right? And was one of the youngest. He came from a big farm family in Iowa, and he was the youngest boy of 7 kids, right? So he was the sixth child, right? And he was pretty shy. He said he worked on it a lot in, high school, going into speech classes and, theater.
Okay.
trying to work on that. And then he became a teacher, and he was a really remarkable teacher because he would teach special ed in Colorado, special education, and he dealt predominantly with the behavioral issues, right? Children who were pretty much one step before not being allowed to come back to school, right?
Got it.
He was, by the time he retired, he was actually working for a special school that the school district had created where it was like, look, this is where all these students go together. Right? They're not even going to be on the same campus as the mainstream students. They're going to get to go to their own school. And he ran that school with a group of teachers. There was no administrator in the school, right? They were all sort of co-administrators. And I don't know exactly. You'd have to have him on the podcast. But it was pretty much like, look, just keep these kids out of jail and do whatever you want.
Wow.
Right? It's kind of like that. That's my interpretation.
That's like one of those movies, right? Where
totally totally like one of those movies. Right? But here's the aftermath is he's been retired since, I don't know, near 2000, a long time. He's been retired, and the students still call him.
Yeah.
Right? They're still in touch with him. They still are like, you were the most influential person in my life. Right?
Wait, was this right before or after Landmark?
No, a long time after, right? Like, so he did that course in the 70s, and then he retired near 2000, right? But like it was part of his life at that point, and so he was just incorporating stuff. He'd kind of forgotten he was incorporating stuff, right? But
I'm sure,
he'd have students do acknowledgments, right? Make requests, right? I mean, he'd do a thing, right? I mean, just kind of imagine you've got a group of high school kids, the very cool, tough kids, in a room. And at the beginning of the year, none of them like any of them.
Total movie right there.
Right? And by the end of the year, because he creates stuff, right? It's like, all right, look, this is what we do every Friday. You have to acknowledge people in this room. Right? You acknowledge them.
That's awesome.
By the end of the year, they loved each other, right? And when it was closer than their family because their family wasn't close, right? So it was just, some of the stories he shares are amazing. So
even the nerdy kid who's sitting in the front, and then like the bully in the back that's like throwing stuff at him. Well, the nerdy kid wouldn't be in one of those classes. The nerdy kid would have been in the other classes.
Yeah,
right?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I am curious, like, because you said you talked to your dad about this. You talked to him about sort of his charisma and the way that he shows up. He attributes it to Est and Landmark. What are some of the things? What are some of the dadisms that he's told you about? Other than like, son, go to Landmark.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was never even pushed in. The truth is, he doesn't necessarily attribute it to it. I hear it out of him because he's only done a few courses, right? But it made a huge difference. And then, I mean, he came back in 2000 and reviewed it, and I came, and then that's when I started participating regularly. For him, it was just like, he'll say things that he discovered, and he really did discover them, but there was an opening to discover them because he put himself into situations where it was then available to discover. So one of the things that he shares with me was, he said he was teaching for quite a number of years, maybe 5-6 years, and not being the best teacher, because he was having, he'd share this whole story better than I would, but it really came down to, at some point, something clicked in his mind, and he was like, oh, wait a minute. These people in this room are people. What if I listened to them? And he really started listening to his students, right? He started listening to his students, and everything, all of a sudden, it changed, right? And he would start to actually be with the student, start to teach the student, and not necessarily try to teach a curriculum or teach something that was required or anything like that. And so what he kind of did though is he kind of set the path for, look, even if you were in a fairly regimented thing like a school district and you see that there's a way to go kind of your own direction, you can do it. Like, if you are just willing to be in communication with the people, right? Face what you need to face, create it at a higher level with the administrators. Let them know why you're, like one of the things he did that I was always sort of envious of his students was he'd take them on a field trip almost every week, right? Like, field trips are always the best part of school.
Heck yeah.
He'd go almost every week or every other week. He would go on so many field trips that they couldn't get buses. So he ended up getting the bus driver's license certification so that he could get his own bus at the school.
My God,
so
man,
he'd drive the bus, right?
This is insane.
He drove the bus, right? And then he'd set up field trips at places where they'd never done a field trip before, like the wastewater facility, right? Like where does the garbage get recycled, right? All sorts of things, because it was like, like some of these kids they're not going to go to college, but they could still be productive. They could learn how things work. They could get interested in stuff, and we can find ways to bring our literature curriculum into the wastewater facility.
Well, I totally hear you, number one. And number two is I totally hear your dog. Number two.
Oh.
But what's interesting here is like when you first said your dad's your hero, and like when you're first describing him, it's all good. Let him chill out with us. It's fine. Only 3 people listen to this show right now.
It's a cat. I got a cat right here.
It's a cat.
There are 4 cats in the house, and you might see them all.
Got him. Well, and I'm hearing you describing your dad, and it's sort of like this legendary, high energy, charismatic, the way he shows up and lights the room. But when you're actually telling me some of the things that he told you or some of the things that he did, it seemed like it was as much about communication, seeing people for who they are, right? Listening to them, communicating with them. Yeah. And how huge is that? Let me ask you this. So you got this hotshot dad shooting from the hip. What is this like for shy little Aaron?
Yeah. Well, that was it, right? So there's this, I'm observing him, right? I'm observing him. And as I'm observing him, and you know how it is when you're shy, you're spending most of your time talking to yourself.
Yep.
Right? Like you've got a dialogue that's always going on with a voice in your head that's always talking back to you. And so I'm observing and I'm assessing, and it's like, boy, I wish I was more like him. And a little less like me, because I really like how he is with people, right? That's really, it's really appealing, right? I like that. I can see how I can see how it works, right?
Yeah.
Like there's these calculations going on in my mind. Works better to be not shy, right? Said from a 6-year-old.
Wow, that's huge, man.
Life works better to be not shy, so figure out how to be not shy, right? Like that, it was sort of like that. And so then there was this, all right, well, how do I do it? What do I do? Because as I was living 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I am shy, right? It's like I am a male. I've got blue eyes. I am shy. Like this was a defining characteristic.
Yeah.
This is just nature. There is no... Do you get what I'm saying?
It's an objective fact.
It's a fact, right?
Then you meld it with am shy. Man, I wish I was shy, not shy like my dad.
And I wish I wasn't shy, right? So this is my childhood and early adolescence. Is I am shy. I wish I wasn't shy. How can I fix this? And so I did stuff to try to fix it, right?
Did you have a low esteem?
My esteem was pretty good. But it was like, this is one area. It's like I've got things that work, but this is one area that's really not...
When you were growing up.
Working.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but there was things I naturally liked to do. There was things I was naturally talented at, gifted at, right? I mean, I don't know, psychologists could probably talk about different types of intelligence, but I really felt like from a fairly young age, I had a fairly good aesthetic intelligence, right? I have good balance. I've got good hand-eye coordination, right? I've got a good sense of space and where my body fits into the world, right? And so that stuff was easy, right? I started skiing when I was, like 6, right? And this was back in the day of latchkey kids, so my parents could
that's what I'm talking about, dude.
Put me on a bus on a Saturday morning.
Come back when it gets dark.
They'd go up to the ski resort, right? I mean, it's a ski resort. It's it's not down the street. This is up in the mountains. I'd ski all day. By myself, have a great time with my own company, right? Try stuff that was probably you shouldn't do if you had a parent around. Just go home on the bus, get picked up. Dad would say, "How was your day?"
How was your day?
It was good. That was the answer. It was good. It's a good day. Right? And it was a good day. So this kind of leads to, I started to learn some skills where I thought, all right, this is going to help me get in front of people, right? So I learned how to juggle. I taught myself how to juggle, right? And then I used to joke, right, when I was 16, my parents are both teachers, so I wasn't getting a car when I was 16. I got a unicycle when I was 16. And so
Wait, you did? You got a unicycle? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so I got a unicycle. Awesome. So I learned how to ride a unicycle,
and,
right?
Wait, and this was pre you becoming a clown, like a certified clown. I don't know if you guys have a... Yeah. No, you and I sound like we would have hung out with each other in high school. I picked up the accordion, like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great, right?
But we wouldn't have hung out because we were shy.
Well, maybe, right? I mean, there was still a there was a tight-knit group of friends. It wasn't like I was friendless. I was going to be backstage, not on stage.
What was your friend group like then?
Yeah,
were they the drama kids? Were they the...
In high school, they were the drama kids. I was a theater guy for sure. Middle school, my best friend, he was fairly mainstream guy, right? He was a good soccer player. I hated soccer. That's a whole different story about a different thing I discovered as an adult. But in any case, I started to do these things to sort of force myself. I remember my dad saying he was a shy kid, and so he got into speech and drama, and so I would do stuff where it was like, all right, perform, right? Give speeches.
Yep.
Do the readings at church. Get in front of people. Put yourself in that uncomfortable situation so you can get good at it.
Did you get good at it?
Well, I did get good at it. But here's what's interesting, right? Like, this all accumulated, right? It's all of these things, get good at it, get better, right? So by the time I'm 19, I get accepted into the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Clown College.
Wait, hold on. Even before we go there,
yeah.
what was that? I mean, that's a special mind, right? In Colorado, to go and think about, like, I am going to enroll in Ringling Brothers.
Yeah, well,
right?
There's a whole side story to that as well, but...
I love how you're, like, piling on the future episodes, by the way.
In the meantime, part of what happened was, by the time I'm about 16, 17, I'm in high school, I'm in drama, I'm terrified of being in the play, but it's like, this is be good for you, right? This might make you a little more popular, you'll certainly learn some ability to be in front of people. So I auditioned, and I got into,
That's awesome.
was in a few plays, right? I was... Our school did Into the Woods, and I was Cinderella's prince, so I had to sing, right? And there was Tempest. I don't remember what exactly.
Wow.
It was. It's a small enough that if you wanted something, you could be in it, right?
You're talking to Pappy Yoakum from Lil Abner, baby. Wait, so okay. Did you have your first kiss in high school?
Yeah, no, probably middle school. Yeah, dude. Probably middle school. Yeah, so I mean, I was not an outcast kid. It was just like, if people asked me questions and started talking about me, I'd carry on a conversation, right? But I wasn't gonna.
I think that's one of the quintessential things of being shy. Yes. Is that I have a lot to say. I just don't want to be the first one to say it.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've gotten our first smooch in middle school.
Yeah.
We've done the things in high school, and now we're applying to Ringling Brothers in Sarasota.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And there's 19. I'll do a short version of what really sparked the getting into the Ringling Brothers was while I'm in the midst of this becoming really interested in juggling and performing and street performing and busking, right? Like I really felt that juggling was much cooler than clowning. Clowns are scary dudes that scare kids in parades wearing too much makeup, right? Like that's the view. It's like I don't really want to do that. I want to be a cool juggler, right?
Jugglers are cool, man.
Who's got skills, right? And can just go out and never be worried about not having money, because all you got to do is put out your hat, juggle some stuff, people give you money, right?
So you could do the thing where you're juggling the apples and then you take the bite, right?
Yeah.
You could do the ones with the fire.
The fire.
Oh my God!
The knives.
Could you do the ping pong ball so your mouth pop 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 pop? Yes.
Yeah, I that was not one that I took on because there was still this whole germ thing, but I know what you're talking about.
I got it.
So I mean, here's part of what got me into the whole circus world was while I'm 15, 16, and I'm becoming a fairly I'm a pretty good juggler, right? I'm a pretty good performer. I got some skills. There's this other kid in town, 2 years older than me. His name is Reed, and he's a really good juggler.
Okay.
And so anytime I would mention to somebody for some reason that I happen to be a juggler,
Reed's name comes up.
Reed's name would come up. They say, "Oh, have you heard of this guy Reed? He's really good. I saw him at this festival," right? Right. One summer I distinctly remember, right, it's summer vacation. Summer vacations at my house were great because my parents are both teachers, which meant they were off all summer. So every day it would be like sleep in, come outside. We'd have a nice patio. We'd have the newspaper out there. We'd have fruit and yogurt and toast. And just, it's just so low-key, great
I love it.
breakfast.
Right.
I come out one day, I'm 16, the newspaper, right, this is the time when there was newspapers, is out on the front table. And on the arts and leisure section, full color spread is Reed, right? Dressed up for the Denver Busker Fest.
That son of a gun!
Right?
And then the lightning strikes behind you.
I later asked him, I said, "Did anyone ever ask you? Did anyone ever say to you, 'Hey, have you heard of Aaron?'" He's like, "No, never. Never once. Never once happened." Now, it did turn out that he had somebody like that too who never asked about him, but
There's always
always
the pecking order. There's the pecking order.
So in any case, I've got this one-sided rivalry, right, with my nemesis, Reed, who has no idea I exist.
Exactly.
Right? It's a totally one-sided rivalry. And at one point, we're in high school and we're doing this whole special thing for the Shakespeare Festival, where my friend Adam, we wrote this whole, it was really pretty good. I think I have it written somewhere, but we wrote this whole Shakespearean tragedy of juggling, right? And we do it as we're passing clubs. We wrote the whole thing in iambic pentameter.
This is incredible. In
right?
iambic pentameter, keeping it old school.
And we did the part where it's like, I'm not left-handed, right? And so very few people would get this, but like we trained ourselves to pass the clubs with our wrong hands, with our left hands, which is not usually done. And
Goofy style.
Goofy style. And then we switched in the act, right? We both did the line of, "I have to tell you something. I'm not left-handed." "I'm not left-handed either," right? And we switched, and then we started going faster, right?
Suck
right?
it.
And
Suck it, Adam.
these are razor-sharp juggling clubs, and we all end up dying because it's a Shakespearean tragedy, right? So everyone is dead at the end. But we had to bring in a third guy to help us with the act, right? We needed another player. And so we brought in this freshman, and it turns out that he'd been taught to juggle by Reed. And so he became my little spy, what's going on with Reed? What's the story? What do you know? What's he doing? So he informs me, he just got into clown college. Reed just got into clown college. I was like, "Tell me more about this clown college." So it's Ringling Brothers. They do this clown college every fall. And he got in, and it's really competitive. It's like you only pick 35 people, and it's like, huh, all right. Ping, I'm
But
intrigued.
it wasn't a juggling program that he got into.
It's clown.
It was full on
Circus Clown College.
For those of you who are just listening right now and couldn't see his face, his eyebrows went up like this is not to be fucked with. This is Harvard.
This is serious.
This is serious stuff.
No longer even exists, but
I also guess that it's supremely hard.
Well, I mean, this is how they would sell it, right? At the audition, they'd say, "Listen, you got to understand, we audition all across the country. Typical year, we get 300 to 500 applicants. We have 35 spots. There's no more than 35 spots. There's 35, right?" So they would make all sorts of jokes, like it's easier to get elected to Congress than to get into clown college because there's fewer spots, right? Like it's,
I mean, you're a statistician. Is that true? Right? I would say the percentages.
I mean, statistically, right? Like there's
Yeah, completely.
There's 2 senators from every state. There's only 35 colleges.
Well, how many people are showing up there that are just kind of dicking around?
That's it, right? That's the real cut, right? The biggest sweeping cut is you'd probably get, I don't know, 60% of the people who showed up because they heard there was a clown college audition and somebody said, "You're a kind of a clown, you should go to that." And so, later I got to run some of these auditions and it was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of, right, like we'd audition all these people. We'd take a Polaroid picture of each of them. We'd get their application. We'd send it off to the director. And in many cases, it was just like, these ones are just going right into the...
Oh my God, this feels like competitive ballet all of a sudden, man.
No, it was like, we're not There's not going to be any follow-up with these.
What about legacies? You know how, like, my great-grandfather was a clown in Milan, Italy.
Yes.
And then my great-great-grandfather was what are those clowns in France that they're kind of... there was a pantomime.
The mimes, yeah. Yeah, I've got a friend who would know this answer. He's the real circus clown archivist and historian. But I don't know of any legacies that went through the clown college system. Now, in the whole world of circus, we could talk about other things because there are lots of circus families that are continually families, right?
Melinda's.
Exactly like that, right? The Espanias, who I showed you earlier, the Wheel of Death, right? Like they're families that generation to generation they pass on the circus skills, and they go from circus to circus to circus, and they're still, they usually live in Las Vegas and then get on the road and do a tour and come back and so there's a lot of those.
So you make it, right? And I am curious. I mean, a lot of guesswork here. But there feels like there's a place where you can express yourself as a clown, right? Because I've seen clowns and they have these personalities all to themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, like, your pops being like, yeah, get it, boy.
Yeah, no, he was pretty, my dad was pretty stoked about it, right? Because one of the things that he did is he actually took his class to a field trip to the circus every year, right? My mom didn't. She wasn't all that keen on circus. She thought that was pretty goofy. But my dad went, right? He thought it was very cool. And I'd go occasionally, not as much as he did. He's been to more circuses, right, than I had at the time.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, so part of it, this whole thing was there's a little bit of this rivalry with Reed. Now, here's what I ended up finding out that same year was, and this is going to be out in the world, so maybe you'll hear this at some point, Reed. I don't know if I've actually fessed up to you
Manny,
about
Manny, get ready to hit the mute button.
But I found out that he got into clown college, he went through clown college, and then he wasn't offered a contract, which is sort of the prize at the end of clown college, right? So this is how the cut would go, the funnel. Auditions of the whole country, 35 spots, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 contracts are available at the end of clown college.
Oh my God.
And you don't know when you start clown college because they haven't finished the contract negotiations on the show. But the whole idea was clown college was just the farm team to keep the show loaded with clowns. And so at the end of clown college, the agreement was, if we accept you in, at the end, if we offer you a contract, you agree to take a 1-year contract to travel with the circus.
1-year contract?
As a clown, yeah. And so that was sort of the prize, right? Like that was sort of the end goal. And so here I am prepping this thing, and I hear that Reed didn't get a contract, right? And so then there's this part of my brain that never gets expressed out loud that says, that's my shot. That's
a shot.
That's my shot. That's my one shot. If I get in,
I hear the Eminem song in the background.
That's right. If I get in
one shot
and he doesn't, then I can finally talk to him and we've got level footing because that will
Reed.
That will be a demonstration that I'm on par, right? Like I'm not always in his shadows of the one-sided rivalry. Again,
I feel like this is the montage of you training now.
So then there is this whole montage, a different podcast of the 3 different times I auditioned. And
you auditioned 3 times.
Yeah, right. In the 2 years I applied, right? So I auditioned twice in the same year, the second year. And then I made it in 1993. I was accepted.
I can't help but think that kind of resilience, that kind of anti-fragility of being that cut and just still coming back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's another thing that happened, right? So part of it was there was this rivalry with Reed, right? Which is sort of on the little devil shoulder. And then I met the director of Clown College, right? I met him at the first audition. He was running it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met him, another spark just really sparked in my brain. It was really an electrical kind of thing. And so I got to back up just 1 second because in the whole process of thinking about this, I had this very distinct, vivid memory of going to an amusement park with my parents. Mm-hmm. And there were 2 buskers doing their street performance at this amusement park. And it was,
What's a busker?
Oh, busker's a street performer, right? Anytime you see somebody out there doing something goofy with a top hat that they get money in, that's a busker, right? So these 2 street performers are doing this juggling comedy routine at this amusement park. I don't remember how long the whole thing was. It was probably 15 minutes, right? And I watched with a very critical eye. So I'm probably 16 at the time, right? And I'm watching them like an Olympic judge, right? It's like, all right, let's see what these guys got, right? Let me just see. And they do this whole routine, and I'm left at the end of it with two very distinct thoughts in my mind. Thought one was, those two guys didn't perform a single juggling trick that I can't already do, right? Like, that was very clear about that. The second thing I was clear about was they both had top hats full of cash, and if I had done the tricks they just did standing right here, people would have just walked by kind of looking weird, right?
Yo, okay.
Because it's like there was something that they definitely had that I don't got, which is they were funny, they were entertaining, they were engaging. The tricks didn't even really matter because people weren't impressed by the tricks. People were more interested in the patter, what they were saying, the
rapport,
the way they moved this whole thing along, how it, ended well, right? Like there was like, oh, I don't know how to learn that.
I don't know.
It's like, and it's going to require that.
And it happened to be Reed with
it's gonna
full of cash.
Yeah. So
well, what's interesting.
It wasn't Reed, by the way, but
it wasn't.
That led me to think, oh, maybe this clown college thing could teach me that part that I don't got, like how do you be funny?
Well, did you feel like this was similar to you looking at your dad?
Yeah, it was
where
a little
sort of
bit.
Dad
right?
had the charisma. And...
Yeah. I mean, he even my dad was there with me, and he even mentioned how. Did you see how they had all that patter? Right, like he probably even brought it up to me too. It's like when you do it, you don't have any patter, right? I don't think he said that.
Why aren't you dancing in the conversation, son?
I don't think he said it. He was more coaching and encouraging, but it's like, oh yeah, that really made it different. Because he is right? Like if you have ever, I don't know where you do this, but like in my college, when I was in way after all of this, there was a juggling club, and there was this guy at the juggling club. He'd go to the gym, and he was one of the best jugglers I've ever seen in my life, right? Far better than me, far better than the people on the circus. This guy was just amazing. But all he'd do is he'd go in the gym on Tuesday, and he would juggle these impressive numbers of objects by himself, for himself, as an exercise.
Are you talking about like barbells and stuff?
No, just like, I mean, he'd have bean bags, but he'd do like 7, right? Or rings, right? And he could just go. But it's like you watched it for 30 seconds and it's like, okay, I've seen it.
He was doing his reps.
He's doing his reps, right? And it's like, it's just as interesting as watching somebody do their reps. Right?
So how does this go for you? I mean, here we go. We got the contract. We got cut
all right.
Twice.
Well, so in any case, I get into clown college. I go through clown college. It's a great experience, right? And again, I'm just faced with this paradox of I am shy, and I'm scared of all of these people who are in clown college with me, but I've got some skill here, right? So it's like I can kind of hang, but I'm also nervous that I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to look like an idiot.
That actually sounds like the perfect place to be.
Right?
Seriously, like when you find yourself in life at a crossroads where you're like, I have this set of skills, and I know that this set of skills is not present.
Yep.
Part of me needing to learn is being around people who are either better than me or having conversations with people I'm afraid of.
Yeah, right. And again, it's like, and I had done that quite a bit.
You did. Okay.
I was driven, right? Like, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten there if I hadn't been driven, and if I hadn't been like, there's something there that I'm hoping will rub off, and I'll get it. And so, went through clown college, and I was good in clown college, and I got a contract. I was one of the 10, and I, went on to the red unit of the Ringling brothers, which
does it pay well?
Not terribly well,
Okay.
but again, it's all perspective, right? So I was 19 years old.
Yeah, you don't have an apartment. You don't need any of that stuff.
$1,000 a year plus a little extra for setup and tear down. But
Did you get health?
You got health insurance. There's zero
There you
room.
go.
There's zero rent. Right, you had to pay a little bit of a fee for your room on the train. We lived on a train, circus train, and so my rent was $100 a month. Yeah, you didn't know that. Yeah, we lived on a circus
see you
train.
looking like that clown in the background there.
That's me.
In your makeup and sleeping in hay.
Yeah,
on the train.
That's what you see. That's about right.
I'm guessing there's like the accoutrements that come with being a clown on a contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like being at camp, right? That's kind of right.
That's
so
fantastic.
The circus train is amazing, right? You could do a whole bunch of stories about the circus train. They took old passenger trains in the era before Amtrak, and these were the old coaches that had seats everywhere. They completely gutted them, and then you think about like tiny house or van life, right? They built them up with plywood, depending on what was going on in the car, and so in the circus, your status really matched your train car.
Oh my God.
Size and accoutrements, right? Like that's how it went. So
wait, so what is it, like the bearded lady in the front, and then
well, the ringmaster.
The ringmaster's in the front.
A train car. Ringmaster had an entire train car, right?
Okay.
Which is, that's bigger than one of those touring vans,
sure.
Right? Those touring buses, the whole bus, right? They got a car. Then the next step would be a half a car, right? They put a wall right in the middle. You could get in on one side, get out on the other side, right? And it was private, right? There was no walkthrough. This door would be one person, this door would be another person. They'd have a paired wall in the middle. And then it went down from there. And so, like at the way low end would be bunk cars for the working men, right? So it would be a whole line of bunk beds on the wall with a curtain, right? And that was it. You got a
Man, this is straight up hierarchy.
And then, where the clowns started is we'd have a semi-private car. We actually refer to it as the clown car, and most people think of the little tiny car when you say clown car, but we meant the clown train car. And so we had a kitchen at one end with 2 refrigerators, a stove, a sink, lots of cabinets, right? And so just imagine your first apartment with roommates, but you've got 15 roommates, right? And you're all sharing this much space for your bowl.
Wow.
Right, and Tupperware, and then spots in the fridge, right? You got, that chunk is
wow.
But there's an electric stove and a microwave and water. And then we'd get a roomette. It was called a roomette, right? So it was 8 feet long, 3.5 feet deep, 8 feet tall. I'm sorry, did I say 8 feet? 6 feet wide, right? As tall as me. 6 feet wide, 8 feet tall.
Okay.
3 feet deep from the hallway to the exterior wall, and a pocket door, so a sliding door, and you could just.
So it's like one of those it reminds me of a bathroom on a plane, but a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a little bit like that, right? But taller, little slidey door, and then inside that they'd have a setup similar to like a motor home, where there'd be basically a bench of cushions, and the middle part could be lifted up as a little table, and you could move the cushions to the sides, right? So you could sit with a table, one facing front, one facing back. Rarely did you set that up the table. Usually you just kept it as a cot. And then there's actually quite a lot of space, because they'd put these big cubbies on both sides where you could load as much of stuff. They had cabinets. They had a little sink the size of a dentist spit sink, right? I mean, it was pretty comfy, and it was the best way to travel ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd work hard, load out on Sunday night, get back to the train around midnight, make a big meal of carb-filled foods.
Yeah, that's what's
and
good.
And then crash, right? Fall asleep. And somewhere around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, the train would start moving while you were sleeping, and it would just go until the next town, and you were forced to just relax, right? You couldn't mow the lawn, you couldn't do any chores, you couldn't go grocery shopping,
no Game
couldn't do
Boy,
anything, because you are on the train.
Did you feel in retrospect that you were like separated from the world and what was going on?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there was not a lot of TV watching those 3 years. So what was popular on television from 93 to 97, I missed, right? Because I didn't own a TV. I didn't want a TV. I was one of the first clowns to have a laptop computer. That was kind of a big deal.
Look at you!
And, there was a year when America Online was a circus sponsor, right? So it was like dial up on my little laptop.
That is fantastic, man.
Right.
You make your own webpage on Netscape Communicator.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. But
get one song. You'd get a song from Napster. It would take about 5 hours to download.
5 hours to download. Yeah, yeah. I was lucky to email my folks. Yeah, no, it was.
I have a million things that I could still ask you about the circus, because, quite frankly, it's It's wild. It's also reflective of society. You know, no matter where you look, there will always be like these hierarchies and there are unwritten rules and stuff like that. But okay, three things. You're not a clown anymore.
No.
You're not a clown anymore. But what are the three things that you operate and live by as a result of that experience? Like, never walk behind the elephants.
Yeah, don't walk behind the elephants, right? Watch out for baboons. Cover your face. I mean, one of the things I certainly operate by is we were really well trained in clown college in a lot of stuff, right? I mean, it was a very intensive training program, and it was a lot more serious, even though it was completely silly, but it was serious because, like, at every meal break, we would sit, eat our meals together, and watch a giant TV where continually was played Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner cartoons, Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, right? Like, every bit of physical comedy, real and animated, you could imagine. And we were watching it with the eye of, why is that funny? Right? Not is it funny?
So good,
but
dude.
Why is it funny? What makes it funny? Where's the laugh happen? Right? And so there's things that I learned. One of the things I really learned was the importance of stillness and timing, you know, taking a beat, right? Mm-hmm. Laughs never happen when motion's going on. You gotta be still so that people have time to hear it, see it, react to it.
The flourish.
And if you, the flourish, the style, right? We call those a style.
Yeah.
Right? That's when the applause happens, that's when the laugh happens. And if you go too fast, you'll lose a laugh that could have been there because the audience is still paying attention. Right? It's like, it's very unsatisfying to miss a laugh.
I was going to say, that must have, you know, like, we're laughing about it, but it must have sucked. You're going, what do you got? Like maybe 3-4 chances? Like, what do you got in a town? You've got like a week there in a town, right?
Yeah.
And to like miss that beat.
Oh.
I could see a person you going like, I could have had it.
By the time we did the show, we didn't miss any beats, right? Like, it was just a matter of how good is it going to be, right? But in clown college, when we're just new at this whole thing, it was like there was lots of times to screw up, right?
Yeah.
Miss beats completely. And then, right, and so then we'd have a weekly show, right? Part of it was analyze this stuff, weekly come up, write material, perform the material for an audience of people in the town. They got to come to a free circus clown show. Mm-hmm. It would be videotaped, and then on Monday we'd analyze where you screwed it up, right? We'd all sit there and we'd watch and just deal with the discomfort of, oh, I get it, I see it.
Going through the film. That is, you know, you're talking about mastery there, you know?
Yeah.
And I love the way that you're bringing it up. I forgot who goes and talks about this, but when it comes to mastery, we are often unconscious that we're incompetent.
Yeah.
And so part of what I'm hearing that they were doing with the film was making you conscious of that you were incompetent,
oh
right?
Gosh, right? Yeah, there's those 4 stages, right?
Yeah.
There's the unconscious incompetent where most people live all the time.
Exactly.
And then there's the conscious incompetent. And then there's the conscious competent. And then there's the unconscious competent, right?
Where
when you get to the mastery, you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it was like to be a circus clown after 3 years, right? First day of the circus, pretty scary to go out in that arena. It's like, okay, this is now real.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, these are hockey arenas, basketball arenas. They seat 24,000 people, right? Right? Madison Square Garden, a big one. It's like 70,000 people, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there. And so that first day, it's like, man, this could be really, at least they don't know who I am, but this could be really embarrassing. After 3 years, it's like, let me out. Let me get it. I don't even care what I got. Let me out with nothing.
Unconscious
in front of those people, right? Because I'll.
No. Did you get to know cities? Like, were there parts of New York where they're like, yeah, they'll probably boo us at one point.
Nah.
Other towns kind of sit on their hands.
Well, a little bit. It was a little bit, not quite distinct like that, because, by the time the show was running, this is one of the things people sometimes ask, is like, didn't you get bored doing that same show, right? Because in a year of the circus, in these heydays, we were contracted to do 13 shows a week. We usually didn't. We usually did 10. But 10 shows a week for 50 is 500 shows, right? So in a year, we did the same performance 500 times. And people would sometimes say, oh my gosh, 500 times. Weren't you bored? And what was interesting was the show was the most comfortable part of our day, because it was the one part of the day you could actually count on, as this is the routine of my life.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else, you're in a foreign city, you don't know where the laundromat is, you're not sure where the grocery store is. You don't know if it's safe in this part of town. You don't know where the train is parked is good. You don't there's all of this other stuff. So the show was like, this is where we're at home.
That's awesome. Clown groupies. Did clown groupies exist? You don't have to say it for you, but
yeah,
there were clown groupies.
I can say 100% for sure, not for me, and I can say 100% for sure, yes.
There were clown groupies,
but not many. There weren't many. So that's sort of a weird kink. But
it's a weird kink. What's underneath those big red shoes?
Yes, right.
Did you ever make kids cry? And what do you do when the clown makes the kid cry?
I did. I never tried to. There were some of my colleagues who kind of liked that. They took that a little bit
fuckers. Like, come on, man.
I mean, they didn't go out and try too much, but it's like, there was one clown in particular, and I'm not going to get into any names, but he really didn't like people. He didn't like people at all. He was one of my most favorite people, and I just saw a picture of him last week, and I'd love to reconnect with him. But he didn't really like people in general at all.
Especially babies.
Babies, children, just people, right? And out of makeup, he was one of the most disconcerting and intimidating dudes to look at. And in makeup, he wasn't much better. But out of makeup, you'd walk across the street, right? Because it was like, there's something not right with that guy, right? And, he kind of had, buggy eyes and sort of shallow. Right?
And so what do you do? What's the protocol when kids cry?
Here's the protocol. Because a lot of times, kids would cry just from they're startled. Just startle.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
The protocol is stay small and get away. Right?
Okay.
Right, because usually what would happen is you'd be out in the audience, a kid's not looking, turns around, sees you, startles, right? And then you just kind of like take a few steps back, wave, try to be friendly.
Disappear.
If it keeps going, just keep going away, right? Right, and so they taught us a lot of stuff. Like, one of the most important things was get to eye level with a child, right? Like, the experience is, for most children, seeing a clown is usually on TV, where they're this small and you could turn them off. All of a sudden, you've got a 6-foot-tall being in your space.
This is brilliant.
Smell the best, right? So what you do is you get little, right? And then we also knew, like, there was a team of us. There was 18. We knew who was better with the kids and who wasn't, and so we'd make sure they were the ones that did the PR events, right? The pretty clowns. The girl clowns, the friendly ones, right?
Was there clown dating?
Nah, there wasn't any dating, but there was.
You guys are probably so used to each other that you just can't.
I mean, the year I was there, the boss clown and his wife were both clowns. So there was a marriage.
Okay.
And then one of the clowns, the guy I was telling you about, the scary one, he ended up dating a dancer. That was a little more common, because people don't always realize that on the circus there was clowns, but there was also the showgirls, right? The dancers.
Oh, look, he came with props.
Yeah, I got stuff. I got my
Joe
things.
Fern.
Yeah.
Zoom in on this.
It's
not Joe Fern, it's Manny. I'm sorry.
This was the show I was part of. Right. So, in any case, there was sometimes some dating and some relationships between clowns and the showgirls. Now, if you want to see this, if you can see you can't really see. There's a guy in the taxi. That's me with that taxi.
Put your finger next. Oh yeah, the guy in the yellow and pink.
Yeah, right. We did this thing about the urban jungle. I could tell you this story. This is a pretty funny circus story, and then we should probably move on to other stuff. But this is one of my favorite circus stories of all time. When we were putting that show together, just a very little bit of background. They would do what was called winter quarters. So the show would end at Thanksgiving. You get a week off, then you go to Florida, down to Tampa when I was there at the state fairgrounds. They'd set up some big barn buildings right there. Yeah. It was big enough to have actually 3 arenas side by side. right? At least the floor space. And so they did that on purpose, right? So they'd have one rehearsal spot, right? It was one arena just for performing the routines, the acts. They'd have another one that was all just the tech stuff, right? So they could be working on the rigging, the grid, the sound, all of that. And then they had, the third one, which was sort of storage. But they did this so that when we were just learning how to load in and load out, we'd literally load from one barn to the next barn.
I love it. I love it.
Just so you didn't have to travel anywhere. But we'd still did the whole tech rehearsal. We'd load up every wagon, drive the wagon over to the other barn, right? Just as if we were loading the train. We just would avoid loading the train because that part they knew. Any case, so we're in winter quarters. And every year they would hire a director, somebody who got to have their name on as the director of the circus. Most of them only ever did it once because it was just it's a resume builder.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought this guy in from New York. He was a New York choreographer, Broadway choreographer, coming to direct the circus. And he brought his assistant with him, and all of those showgirls who were all trained dancers, right? They'd been dancing since they were little kids. They loved it because, right, they get to be paid to dance. And here comes this Broadway choreographer, right? So, like, if they make a good impression with him, there's a future after
this is my shot,
right? Like, this could be
my
good,
shot.
Right? Get to know this guy, do well. So he did real choreography. They really liked working with him because he worked them hard. He had different stuff. It wasn't just look pretty in style, right? It was like, do some dancing. And this particular scene was the urban jungle, right? So there's a little bit of some gritty.
That's got some tinge to it right there.
Hip hop kind of stuff, right? Like leather. There's some leather and some, right? Sparkly spikes and stuff.
I love it.
It's a cool scene, right? And so the clowns, we're also part of all of these spectacles. So the way the circus would sort of work is there's an opening parade. Mm-hmm. They do a few acts. Then there is some type of spectacle where you get the whole arena floor doing something. Do a few more acts. Then there's the intermission. They use the intermission to set up something big like a trapeze net or a tiger cage. Right after that, the clowns will do something to get the tiger cage down and the trapeze net taken away, right? We're there to distract them, right? And then, a few more acts, and then there's a finale, right? And so there's usually 2 clown gags. But then there's these whole company numbers, right, where we have to be part of it as well. And it's mostly just, color and dance and choreography and music, right? We're just, sort of there. So they're rehearsing for this urban jungle number. And so this director, this choreographer, Danny, he says, all right, today the rehearsal is just with the clowns, right? So he brings all the clowns in, and he's talking us through how we're going to do this routine. And he starts to talk to us with real technical dance jargon, right? He's using those terms, the ballet terms.
Those terms.
And the positions, right? And we're all kind of looking at each other like, what is he saying, right? And so he's telling us where he wants to be and at how many counts, right? It's going to be this 8 count, this 8 count. It's like, we're not counting, right? We're looking at the audience in a way. And finally gets to this point. He's like, all right, at this particular spot, it's going to be freestyle. So I just want you guys to freestyle, do whatever you want. You're going to have, I don't remember, 2 8 counts or 1 8, something, right? You have this much time to do your own freestyle. And he says, you guys can do whatever you want, right? I don't care if you are, you want to, whatever. You want to hump the floor, do whatever, right? He actually said that word. He said, if you want to hump the floor, just do whatever you want to do.
Just remember, it's an urban jungle.
Yeah, just remember, it's an urban jungle, right? But now you got to kind of get a sense of, you've got 15 young men between the ages of 19 and 25 who live together, work together, play together, right? And the choreographer says, do whatever you want. Feel free. You can hump the floor, do whatever you want. So he says that, and we all start to look at each other.
Carte blanche,
and
baby.
There is this, right? And there is this, it just goes right around the arena almost instantly, right? This unspoken communication. And so when we get to that point, 15 guys hit the ground and start humping them. Boom, in sync, boom, boom. Choreographer's not sure to laugh or to be mortified. He kind of goes to laughing, and he realizes, you guys aren't dancers, are you? And he's like,
love it.
Oh, you're the clowns. Oh, you're the clown. You're not dancers, right? Because up to that point, he assumed the clowns were dancers wearing makeup, not...
I absolutely love it. Now, okay, here you are as a clown, right? Helping people, lifting spirits, humping the ground, right?
That, by the way, that was cut. That wasn't put into the show. No,
come on.
Nobody saw that in real life.
It ain't an urban jungle without 15 clowns up in the ground.
Yeah, he kind of made us. He kind of gave us more dedicated choreography after that.
Hey, are you picking up what I'm throwing down here? Are you digging the Joy Revolution podcast? If so, I invite you to subscribe on this platform. Now, if you want more, I have an online community called The Underground. It's free to sign up. In there, you'll find mini courses inspired by podcasts like this one. You get to connect with other community members. I'm in there. The link's in the description. Let's get back to the episode. So how do you move 3 years in the circus, helping people with their finances, insurance, starting a family?
I don't see why that's not completely a straight line for you. That seems pretty straightforward to me. I mean, again, part of it is background, part of it is side interests, part of it's being a shy kid with lots of ideas. So I told you my parents are both teachers. Yeah. One of the things my mom taught me at about 11, 12 was, it's all right to follow your dream. It's all right to be a teacher. All of these things are fine. But there's still stuff that costs money in life, so it'd be a good idea to get good with money, right? And so she started teaching us about mutual fund investing and dollar cost averaging in our formative years, right? So I was 13, 14, and she says, I've opened accounts for you. These are the stock symbols. You can find it in the newspaper. You can see how it did. And so I was very interested in that. Like, so on that particular day when I told you Reed was on the front page of the Arts and Leisure,
you were
I was also checking on my tickers in the business section that same day.
Which means you were probably using some of the stuff from when you were a clown to invest. No?
Yeah. Well, I mean, while I was in a clown, and unfortunately I don't have any pictures of this, but I kind of wish I did, was, you did get some downtime, right, to do stuff. And so I started these, I'd read books on, investing, right? One of the things at Clown College they taught us was, like, this is show business. And business is an important part of this.
Yeah.
Right? Be smart about your money. Be smart about the business side. Start to look at how does this really work. And so I got really fascinated with how does the circus make money? Like, where are the cost centers? Where's the profit in this thing? I mean, this is a huge undertaking. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of expense. Where do they make their money? Right? And then, and I also did these correspondence courses on futures and options trading through the mail. So I'm paper charting. I'm paper trading while I'm a circus clown.
Incredible.
Right, so it'd be great to see, like, there's probably somewhere, there's no picture of this, but I've got an Investor Business Daily paper in my clown makeup with my shoes, in my boxer shorts, backstage, checking my...
And it's not posed at all. It's literally what you were doing.
So what I was doing is what I was learning about. I was really interested in this because it was very clear, right? Like, especially once I got to that point, it's like, if you're going to do a career in the arts, right? Because I also thought I was going to go into theater. It's like theater's a not-for-profit world. You better know your budget. You better save like crazy because there's a reason they're called starving artists, right? That's a real thing, right? So it's like, so there was that part that I was interested in just for my own personal interest. And so when I left the circus, right? I left the circus after 3 years. At the time, my friends from high school were graduating from college, and I was like, I'm going to get left behind, right? In the real world, I don't want to get trapped. I don't want to get trapped in the circus because there's some other interesting challenges that could really come up, right? The travel was grueling. It's 50 weeks a year. I still had parents, right? And I'm only in my early 20s, so I can go home, right? But if I stayed there 6 more years, I'm sure my parents would welcome me home, but not for very long.
You don't look like that one clown that scared everybody with his makeup off. Been here too long.
Yeah.
So you were thinking about your future.
I was thinking about my future.
Okay.
And for me too, it was always like, this is a phase of life. It's not a way of life. This is just it's an opportunity between, I had 1 year of college, and then it was like, all right, what do I want to do with my life, right? And it did really help me get a clear sense that when I went back to school, I wasn't a bad student. I was never a bad student, but I was a better student after 3 years of the circus.
Yeah.
Because I knew how to work. I wasn't going to get distracted. I had specific goals. It's like, I want to get this degree in theater. I want to learn all about theater tech, theater design. I want to bring some of my actual experience about how shows load in, load out, get orchestrated, work, audiences.
Wow.
and bring that into a degree. So my degree is actually in theater technology and theater administration. And while I was in college post the circus, a friend of the family called me up. I thought it was sort of a cold call, right? But he knew my background, he knew who I was, and he asked me to come and work with him on campus with the school's program council, which I don't know if that term means anything other than in CU, but it's like it was the division of the student union that had been formed in the 60s when Boulder was a very hip place with concerts. And they created this where this council, completely student run, is in charge of all of the entertainment brought onto campus.
It's like campus life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And it was unique because it was completely student run. Like there was one faculty oversight, but it's like you guys, you're learning how to do this, so you do all of it. You create the contracts, you do the invoices, you do all the tech specs, you create the riders, you do all of it. And so I was like, well, this is the perfect job for me. So I started working with him, became the technical director, right? And then he ended up getting his degree a year before me. And while I'm still working, he gives me another call and he says, hey, I'm directing a play here in Denver and I could use somebody to be the technical director, right? We need some lights, we need some sets. Do you think you could get some credit for doing this? And so I talked to my advisor and it's like, well, you could get a little independent study, but it'd be good experience.
It's good, yeah.
So I was like, sure, I'll do it, right? So between everything else, right, drive down to Denver, figure out how to put on a really low-budget set and lights and light design it and, set up all the cues and do this for this play that's going to run for a week. And we do the play, and on the Saturday night before we strike the thing, he takes me outside on a walk and he says, listen, I just got this idea. I looked at the books of this theater. I got to kind of know the people who are on the board here. And the show we just did was the most profitable show that this place has had all year. Now, when you're 24, optimistic and sort of stupid, you think that sounds like really good news.
Yeah.
Maybe we can run this thing. When you're 50 and you look back, it's like that should have been assigned to run away because the show wasn't that good. And if that was the best thing that happened, this is not a good situation, right? But we said, all right, yeah, let's try to see if we can take this place over. So me and my buddy,
how'd that go?
Brantley, we did. We took the place over, right? We got, it's a not-for-profit, right? So the way this work is you got to get a new board. The old board has got to vote in new board members, and then you got a new board, right? And so we proposed this to a couple of, friends, the same mutual friends we had, who were fairly wealthy philanthropist-type people. And they both knew me and him. And they're like, well, I don't think we do this with anybody else, but we know you two. Okay.
Wow, dude.
And so they did. Now, the second warning sign, it should have been a major red flag, was how fast the old board was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, unanimous vote. There's no
Good
fight.
luck.
That should have been like sirens. That should have been like,
yeah.
We just thought they were incompetent artists, right? They don't know anything about business. We'll run this. We'll do great.
Yeah. But you're also an optimist still. I've always seen you as an optimist, dude.
Yeah, right. And it was fun. And we ran the place for 3 years.
Okay.
In the meantime, I got married during those 3 years. I took the Landmark Forum during those 3 years. Completed my degree in, my college degree in 3 years, right? And I was working in the job that my degree was for, right? It's like,
who does that nowadays?
This is great, right?
Yeah.
This works out great. And I do think we probably could have had a pretty, I think we were on track, right? I think we were on track, but I also do believe in divinity and that sometimes God has other plans, even if your plans look good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Right? And, this is a kind of a weird sort of divinity, but it's like we had set up things that I really thought were going to be in good shape. This is really going to work out. This is going to be the future. Now, interestingly, in the summer, July, August of 2001, I get a cold call. I'm a Landmark grad by this point. I get a cold call from somebody from a financial company. Mm-hmm. They're recruiting. They're looking for people. They said, I heard you got good people skills. Maybe you want to come and do this. And I was a little intrigued because I'd always been interested in the money stuff, right? I was had my own accounts. I was doing my own investing. Yeah. And I was like, well... Wait,
did you turn the theater around, or was it just pretty much where it was?
We we were doing pretty good. The first year was a little rough. We put a lot of money into it. We revamped, we painted the whole place. We put in a new hardwood floor. We got in some really good people, and so we kind of did a first year to just sort of like, can we swing this, right? And we did. And then at the end of that, I think it was the second year or the third year. I cannot really remember at this point, but we were set up for 2001. We were going to start our season, and we had the whole season mapped out. It was the first year we were going to start selling subscriptions for the whole year, right? Get season tickets. We knew every show we were going to do. We had all of the directors lined up. We'd even done this very impressive. I was very proud of Brantley for setting up this impressive contract with the Air Force Academy. It turns out that the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, it's an hour drive from Denver, their sophomores are required to do Shakespeare for an entire year.
Yeah, that's what's good.
Right? So he had set up this contract for both in the fall and in the spring to have the entire recruit class come up to our theater for a matinee on a Wednesday, completely sell it out. Shakespeare, there's no royalties, right? It's public domain.
Yep, it is public.
So we could run our show in the day and basically cover the cost for the entire run with one performance from the Air Force.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It's like, oh, this is a good cash cow, right? And then we can run the rest of the 6-week run pure profit, right?
I love it. Beyond marginally effective.
Great.
I love it.
Really great. It was really smart, right? And it's like, and we'd contracted one of the most preeminent Shakespearean linguistic directors to be sort of our standing Shakespeare director, right? We were proud of ourselves. Big britches. We also had this very interesting idea of in the Christmas holiday seasons, we will do a contemporary show where everyone else is doing smulchy holiday shows. We'll do the one thing that you could go see if you didn't want to see the Nutcracker again, or if you didn't want to see Christmas Carol.
Was it like a raunchy puppet show?
No, it wasn't quite like that. But we were trying to get Rent at one point. We really were talking. We were in negotiations with those guys to get Rent to do a long-term stay. But this was going to be more of a avant-garde. There's a play called Machenal, and it was an avant-garde German film with an abused woman who kills her husband, and she ends up getting sentenced, and it ends with her in the electric chair. Right? It's just really holiday.
That
fun.
is a perfect alternative to Hallmark.
Yeah.
That's
right.
all I gotta say. So you turned the frown
yeah. So here we are.
There.
So we are like excited. We are revved up. We're ready to go. Now here's the thing. We opened our season with Dangerous Liaisons, right? That play. And I designed the set. I was proud of the set. And then we opened it on September 9, 2001. And if you think about that date for a second, 2 days later, the world changed.
Yes.
World changed entirely.
Big time.
Most of our cast was from New York. They couldn't reach their families. There's no communication. They couldn't fly home. All the planes were landed. We went dark for 13 days. The beginning of our season when we had no money because we'd been just sort of skating through the summer to get to our opening show, which was then going to lead into our Shakespeare show and then to our avant-garde Christmassy show. Well, then, as you may recall, we're in a world of high security orange, which means nobody can leave the Air Force Academy, right? We're on heightened alert. So we've got this contract signed with the sophomore cadets to see this Shakespeare show, Measure for Measure, which is a show nobody ever sees. We only did it because they were reading it.
Yeah.
But now they can't come, they can't drive up to Denver because of the security alert. So as our patriotic duty, I built the set again, and we loaded it into trucks, and I took all of my circus skills, and we made it a road show, and we brought it to the Air Force Academy. We did a one-day load-in. We got the whole thing set up. We did the performance that evening, tore the whole thing down. It was like circus days, and drove back.
And I bet you crushed it.
We did great, but, it cost everything and more that we made for doing that one performance. And so now we're, like, running in a deficit, going into, now it's Christmas. And what
ineffective.
What does America want at Christmas in 2001? Traditional Christmas, right? And we're showing a German housewife getting the electric chair. Needless to say, by January, the board was like, we are not giving you any more money. You guys got to figure out how to save this thing or you're done.
And hence, you against, again, divine timing, you get a call. from someone who's heard
right,
about you.
right around this time, I get a call from the guy again. It's like, oh, thanks for calling back. Yeah, I'm open. My options are open. I come in and see, because anything's got to be easier than this.
Yeah.
Right? And so we did our last-ditch effort to try to save the theater. We did, there's this really funny show called The Complete Works of Shakespeare Abridged. It was written by a former circus clown and two of his buddies. And they basically do The Complete Works of Shakespeare as a comedy routine play in fast fashion, and it's hilarious. It's really funny. So we ended up, this is one of the times I performed. Me and two other buddies, we taught ourselves this show, and we did it. We made it a little bit PG-13, and we brought it to high schools around Denver as into their auditorium.
Wait, what does making it PG-13 mean?
Well, there was a few lines in there that were probably rated R, right? Like you just couldn't say at a high school, right, and not have the teacher or the principal say you're not coming back ever, or right. So we just we G'd it up a little. We made it a little bit more friendly for younger audience. And then we did a few performances at the theater itself, right? And that kind of kept the lights on for a little while. And in the meantime, we're calling like crazy to the folks in New York for rent. And just like, hey, look, you guys could just come here and stay. Right? Just
please.
Yeah, please. Like right now, please. And we were a little bit too desperate too. And so, but in the meantime, I started working very part-time. I can't even say I was working yet. I was getting myself licensed. I was learning about, helping people with their money and their finances, and was getting really interested in it, right? Like it's really appealing to the way, the way they operated, right? Really working with Main Street families. And then, doing that part-time. And there was a particular point where it's the summertime. I think it's June. I don't remember the exact week, but it's Friday afternoon, and I'd been working all week, and it's, Friday evening, and we don't have a show this weekend, and I'm about to close up and lock up the theater. And it occurs to me, I haven't seen anybody all week. Like, I've been working here all week, and I have not seen another person here
doing that
all week. Maybe we're out of business, right? Like maybe we're closed, right? That's sort of my thought. It was like, that's not exactly right. I wonder if anyone's going to tell me we're closed, or if I'm just going to keep coming here, right? And
so that was the next 2 years of my life.
Yeah. Then I kept just pushing the broom. No, then I found out that my buddy Brantley, he was having a hard time. He felt really guilty. He had a hard time. He was concerned about, my livelihood, right? My bills and stuff. Because he just didn't want to tell me, we're done. There's nothing happening. We gotta find a new board to take this place over. And he was kind of doing that behind the scenes. And so that was the end. That was the end of our theater run, and then I moved into working as a part-time, full-time financial advisor. Right, so I had nothing else to do. I wasn't really full-time.
And you're laughing about it, but also at the same time, like if you could thread something together, there is this like lifelong curiosity that you've had, right? Yep. And also sort of this flair for altruism. It just seems like everything that you have done has fallen in line with that, like following your curiosity, things happening, divine timing.
Yeah.
Clowns scaring children, German electric shock movies. Yeah, no, you're really right. I mean, it's part of it, sort of the theme of the whole thing is, right, like find some type of passion, get interested in it, stay interested in it, right? Like, and have it be not just because it feels interesting, but like moving beyond that, this sounds like a terrible idea or a great idea, but let's do it, right? Like, let's really do it. Like, let's really commit to it. And then not following an ordinary path, right? Like, that's something that's, again, probably from my father, but also from other trainings and, in Landmark, and just sort of getting this sense of things can work out when I'm doing something to work them out, right? Like, and part of it, and there's aspects of it. Part of it is like real creation, and part of it is sort of a resisting other things, right? Like what?
Part of the resisting is I don't think I'd be a very good employee, right? I don't really think that I would be great with someone saying, you gotta be in that seat at 8:30 in the morning and stay there till 5.
I laugh obviously because I am proudly unemployable. So there's only one other option for me, right?
Yeah, so like, you know, I mean, and I've been an employee, but in the places where I've been an employee, there was so much freedom, right? I mean, you know, the circus was probably the most regimented, but still, that's a pretty free kind of
The
lifestyle.
circus is the most regimented.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that was probably the most regimented as an adult, right? And then, I mean, the theater, it was dumb for me to be an employee because I was working like an owner, right? It should have just been, you know.
Of course.
It was like, oh, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's kind of what had me move into the idea of just taking on a commission-based line of work was this way I at least could have more income.
Yeah. Well, we've talked around it for a little bit, and this is by no means endorsed by Landmark at all. But you've said it a couple times, man. You said about how your father was an EST Landmark.
Yep.
And, you know, how you took the forum over, over that course of 3 years, that crazy 3 years that you had, you know?
Right.
What impact has that had in your life? And again, this is not a commercial.
That's good.
It's more so like
well, that's really the theme, because if we go back to the beginning, like here's where I was, even up until I was 24 and married. Right? I'm 24, I'm married. I'm a former circus clown. I'm almost a college graduate. I'm working the job my degree is for in a theater as a technical director. I'm far more comfortable being backstage, building the sets, running the mics, than on stage. And I am clear that I am a shy person, right? So at that point, I'm 5'11", I got blue eyes, brown hair, am shy. And now I've got a much bigger problem because I'm also well-trained and I have a resume that people are not going to have much sympathy for the shyness because, what do you mean you're shy, right? Like you dropped your pants in Madison Square Garden and played a trumpet, right? Like, how does that jive with shy, right? Like that's not...
The psychology DSM-4 says that shyness is dropping your pants and playing a trumpet.
Yeah, right.
In Madison Square Garden.
If you ask my colleagues on the circus, right, they would say, there's two points I want to make about this. They would say that dude didn't even talk his first year on the show. We never heard his voice.
Wow.
Right? He never said anything backstage, right? Because there's this little bit of your first year as a clown, you're like a freshman, right? And so you could get hazed. You could get, like, whatever. I'm not going to get hazed. There's some other dudes that are much more hazable than me. I'm going to make sure they get, right? Even if I got to push them a little bit, I'm going to make sure they're the ones that get that attention. I don't want it.
And then there you were, dropping your pants and playing the trumpet. Wait, by the way, you played the trumpet with your mouth, right?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
Pants are at the ankles.
Sorry.
Trumpet's in the... Yeah. But like, so I've got this problem, right? Here's the other problem, right? That guy from Clown College who I so admired, the director of Clown College, I went back to a reunion like 4 years ago and he didn't remember my name, right? Like, and I had been on the circus and he remembered the name of another guy who was at the reunion who didn't go on the circus, but who had a much bigger personality.
Was it Reed?
More friendly. That wasn't Reed. In any case, it's like, oh yeah, see, here's this problem, right? Like all of this work I have done to fix shyness hasn't fixed it. And then in the summer of 2000, my dad takes this thing, he calls me up and he says, hey, I've been taking this course. I'm graduating on Tuesday. I'd love to have you come and support me in my graduation. Right now, anyone who's listening who's gone to Landmark, you know that's not what you're supposed to say, right? But he said all the stuff you're not supposed to. And it's like my dad, and I love my dad, so of course I'm there. And so I go and I'm at this hotel, right? And there's this very charismatic guy leading this evening, and it's like, oh my gosh, this guy is like who I want to be. He's like the director of Clown College. He's like my dad. He's got all the stuff I want, right? And he starts talking about things like there's this voice that's always talking in your ears, right? It's a little voice. It's always talking. And I immediately said, what is he? I didn't say it out loud. What is he talking about? Voice. I'm not talking to myself. And then I realized, I'm talking to myself right now as he's saying it. He's reading my mind.
I'm not talking to myself. Talking to myself.
Right, and in this introduction, then we go to a little room, and I hear about I hear about these interesting ideas, like these ideas that what really struck me, right? I'm still struck by it to this day is my past doesn't give me who I am in the present, right? And it's always occurred like it, but now I really do see, like I have spent 10 years trying hard to overcome shyness to I now am at a point where I'm a very good performer, comfortable on stage, and shy, right? Like you told me to perform something, no problem. You told me to lead a toast or a prayer, problem, right? I'm at the theater and I won't answer the telephone.
Yo!
Right? Because the phone rings. I don't know what to say to these people. Right, yeah. This is way too intimate right? And I'm not using the terms intimate, but it's like they're going to ask me a question, I'm not going to know the answer to it, and I'd much rather them just go to voicemail than me try to save this business by answering the phone and being with the person.
Is it fear of looking bad? Which is
looking bad. Fear of looking bad, fear of sounding stupid, fear of being humiliated, fear of being judged, right? Fear of being found out that I'm actually not enough. And this whole performance thing has been a big fraud.
Wow.
Right? I've been trying to get over shyness and it hasn't worked. And now I can't even get any empathy, any sympathy, because who's going to believe me that it hasn't worked, right? So this is my existence. My existence is...
So you're like, Dad, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, right. Like I'm shy and I can't, and it's like, all right, well now I'm really trapped, right? So then I start becoming set in my ways. Start making rules with people. Start making rules like I don't answer the phone, right? If you need me to get information, leave me a note, send me an email. I'll get you the information. I'll get it back to you on my time. But I don't answer the phone. I don't, right? Like I start making these steadfast rules about how to deal with me.
I mean, now you're raising the stakes here, right? Because you're in a place where you know that you're curious. You know that the best Aaron out there is the altruistic Aaron. And you're gripped with the self-imposed fact that you are shy and you don't want to look bad.
I don't want to look bad.
Oh, my God.
And I'd also probably say that up until that point, there wasn't a whole lot of interest in the altruistic part. Maybe that was happening as a byproduct, but that was not an intention.
Okay.
Right? So here's what happens is in this introduction to Landmark Forum, they say a lot of interesting things. But one of the things is your past is not giving you who you are in the present. It's your future. And the reason it looks like your future is there's just been this filing error, right? You've inadvertently filed stuff from your past to protect you into your future. And now you're trying to live through that. And I could see it crystal clear, like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing.
Which completely is putting yourself in a prison.
Phone rings, I won't answer it, right? Like, meeting people. I don't want to meet people in person, right? Like, I don't want to ask for help or directions, right? Like, there's even times where it's like, I need something, and I look through the phone book, right? This is the time they had phone books, and this person probably has the answer, and I'd have to really psych myself up for, like, what am I going to say? I don't want to sound stupid when I ask this question. I don't want to and ah. I don't want this to sound crisp and rehearsed.
Now I'm going to and ah the rest of this podcast because,
right? All of this, right? So in any case, I'm doing this show. We're doing this play at the theater, and it's called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. It's a great show. Tom Stoppard, one of my favorite shows, and it was one of the worst productions I've ever been a part of. Right? It just was like every part of it was awful. The interpersonal communication was awful. I hired somebody to do the set. He did a terrible job. Then he blamed me.
Oh, I love. Is this right? Have you seen Waiting for Guffman?
Guffman, yeah. It's like that, right? Now, I do this show. Then I take the Landmark Forum. The show closes, I take the Landmark Forum. In the Landmark Forum, I have all of these breakthroughs. But the biggest one that just struck me, and I've never gotten over it, was I spend my entire life so concerned about what other people are thinking about me, right? I'm on the lookout. I'm careful. I'm eavesdropping, right? Like my little joke was, yep. I didn't know what eavesdropping meant until I overheard somebody talking about it, right? But like, right, that was my life. My life was watch out for being humiliated, right? They're out to get you. You better have info on them first, so you're protected, right? That's life, right?
Oh,
like
my God.
Be on guard.
Yeah.
Have all. Just, life it's scary out there. It's a threat. People are a threat. So you better keep yourself protected, and you better have you better have ammunition for when they come at you.
And did you have ammunition?
I had ammunition. I knew
Did you
everybody's
use it?
little flaws. No, I never used it because this is what I discovered in the Landmark Forum. Nobody was paying any attention to me at all. They didn't care about me. They didn't even see me in most of the cases because I'd done such a good job of disappearing that they didn't have any info. They didn't even care about anything.
That is wild.
And then the other punchline I got was, they're too concerned about how they look to spend any time thinking about me looking bad.
Yeah.
So I've got all of this energy into avoid looking bad. It's costing me my peace of mind. It's costing me sleep at night, right? Like, I'm 24. I'm newly married. I've got this job that should be this dream job. And every night before I go to sleep, I've got this list running through my brain of all of the things I didn't do today, or all of the things I should have said differently that I didn't say, or all the things about how this conversation didn't go. And I can't go to sleep, right? And so I'm sitting there in my pillow, not sleeping. And as soon as it gets to the bottom of the list, it starts right back at the top again. It keeps going, right? And
Oh my God, Aaron.
Cycles and cycles, right?
No,
And
I mean, I completely relate to like lying in bed and having those things. You know, what would I have said if I would have had that chance?
What should I have said?
again?
Stupid.
Right?
Stupid.
Stupid.
Right.
And I forgot about, it's not I forgot about, because I still do it, but I just don't do it to the extent that I did it in high school. But it came to the point where I could take words and use them as weapons. And damn it, if you said that damn thing about being Filipino again, I would use it. And then suddenly people would be like, okay, don't say that to Cordon. Don't say shit like that to Cordon. I also wasn't hanging around people because I wasn't the best of people to hang around because I was on the defense, you know? And I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I'm like, oh, I still do that. So yeah.
So here's what was interesting. I took this 3-day course, sat in a room, listened to people, and heard them, and finally got to a point where I could hear them without first or in the same time hearing all of the stuff that I was saying about them and me and it and that, right? Like,
right.
It got a little quiet. And then I left this course and it felt like I had been on vacation, right? Like the way you're supposed to feel after a great vacation where you're refreshed.
Yeah.
And you're lit up and you've got energy. It's like that's how I felt on the Monday after this 3-day long course, right? It was like I am lit up. And some amazing things happened. One of the most amazing things that happened was my concern for avoiding looking bad. It didn't go away, but it was so diminished that it seemed non-existent, right? It just seemed like why was I spending any energy with that? The list running went away and has never come back, right? So I have slept well for 25 years. I'm a champion sleeper now, right? Like when my son was born 11 years ago, I was the get up parent because I could get up, I could feed him, and I get right back to bed. Champion, right? No problems, right? The only problem I had was my wife is such a light sleeper that I'd have to feed him and then go sleep in the living room so I didn't wake her up by getting back into bed. But I go right back, right? And then after Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, we did Hamlet, right? Which we thought was really clever because, you know, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are in Hamlet, right? This set was also required a remodel of the theater, painting the theater, hanging new curtains. I designed this set. We had less time to do it, and it was the best show we ever did. Right? And it wasn't because of it had nothing to do with any circumstance other than who the technical director was a transformed person who could get along with people, who could make things happen in communication, who was light, who didn't have lists running through his brain, who could find the levity in life. You know, one of the things that I got from all the clown work, which I now really appreciate, is there's always a funny way to look at stuff, right? There's always humor.
You know what's interesting in terms of the way that you're talking about how you showed up for Hamlet, right? Light, energized. Sounds like your dad, dude.
Yeah, that's what I got, right? It was like, oh, this is what he did.
Yeah, it sounds
right?
like
It was all like, boom! It's like, oh, I want to do this for now on.
Yes.
Right? And so, yeah, right? And so now it's like my dad and I are really good friends now. And we'll talk. We'll have long conversations like we're having. And he'll say, there's nobody I can talk to like this. I love talking to you because we can really talk about some big things and some deep things. And he and I have even had to create a new game this year because when we talk, we end up talking for an hour, and I don't always have an hour. So I said, all right, we're going to start small talk. You and I, we're going to do small talk. And he's like, I hate small talk. And I said, I hate small talk too. But we're going to try to do small, big talk, right? So it's going to be fast and important and fun, but quick.
So it's a velocity and impact is what you're
right.
looking at.
Yeah, small, big talk. And we're still pretty terrible at it because then we start liking each other and we talk for longer than we need to. And usually one of our spouses is saying, hey, you got to come eat, right? So it's like, that's what usually.
You two got to record. There's your podcast right there.
I've got up there. I got the set for Hamlet. I made the model.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. In any case,
Manny, can you pan left right now? I need you to pan left, Manny.
I'm tied to this thing, right? Go show. At some point I can find pictures of it. It was a good set. It was a great show, and it was like I don't know how to fully communicate, but it was like the show before the Forum was the worst I'd ever done. And the show after was almost the best, probably the best I'd ever done.
Incredible.
And it was the same staff except for one person. A lot of the cast was the same because we thought that would also be clever, right? To keep Rosencrantz and Guildenstern the same Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Smart.
Hamlet did a cameo as sort of
Smart.
a preview for coming attractions, right? And so
Easter eggs up
right,
in there.
we were like, and it was a marvel, right? We got great reviews and compliments, and it was really good. And again, I credit all to who I was able to be that I couldn't have been before, right? Like there was a new way of being, and the new way of being was a creation, right? I was able to create it, and I was able to let go of all of this worry. It was almost like pre-resentment, like I was resentful about the people who were out to get me, and I was like, oh, they're not out to get me. They're not even concerned. They're not even interested. There's nothing there.
Aaron, we're neurotic beings, but we're so neurotic.
So funny. We're so funny. And then I also really saw, like, I don't know if this will fully communicate, but like before, it really seemed like I could say something and it would wreck everything forever, right? Like it was, the stakes were so high for making a mistake that it could wreck everything. Destroy a relationship, destroy a business. Like it was dangerous to speak. And then afterwards, it was like, oh, it's possible to wreck everything and then fix it right afterwards by using the same thing you used to wreck it, right? You just have to say something new.
That's so good.
If your words could wreck it, your words can restore it, and I could apologize, and I could ask for forgiveness. Yeah. Right? And so I used to start asking people to forgive me for being whatever way of being I was being. And I'm like, you don't need to be forgiven for that. And it was like, but I'm freed up.
Read?
Yeah. Read. Oh, I should have gotten back to Reed, right? Because I didn't fully complete that story. But when I left the circus before going to college, I was brave enough to talk to Reed. I reached out to him. We called on the phone. I asked him, hey, is there anything for a clown to do in this town to make some money, right? And so we ended up connecting that year. And he got me a job at an amusement park. We worked together. We created a juggling routine, the two of us, that we brought to the International Jugglers Association Team Championships, and we won the bronze medal for our
That's what's good.
routine called the Stoolies, right? We did it two more times, and then he was the best man at my wedding.
You
right? So
trickster! You are such a trickster. That is amazing. I also wanted to do that. I also wanted to say, and by the way, knowing you, it is not surprising at all that it went down that way. I wanted to acknowledge you for something that, from the time that we've known each other, like the way that you carry life, and many of the folks that I know, and I think you do too, we carry our lives like it's a game now, right?
Yep.
And like, how fun is that? When you can carry your life like it's a game where your rival suddenly becomes like the bronze medal, like co-champion with you, Very Cobra Kai moment of you. I usually prepare for these types of interviews, but there's only one question that I wrote down for you, and it was this. And I think it's around what we're talking about. You believe, and you wrote this to me, you believe people are more powerful than they realize, but sometimes how they try to change is what keeps them stuck. What advice do you have for listeners ready for real change and joy?
Wow. Yeah, that was a good question I wrote to you.
I know, it was a great question you wrote.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like this, right? It's like I was working so hard to kill off shyness, to fix being shy, to change what was wrong with me about being shy, right? With the risk being I discovered when I took the Landmark Forum that the shyness was a protection mechanism that I made up really young, right? Something happened at about 4 or 5 when I was at a wedding. I was illustrating the wedding, right? So I'm a 5-year-old illustrating the wedding in green felt pen, and I show my pictures to some of the people at the wedding, and probably what happened, if I look back at it as an adult, is they probably smiled out loud because it was cute. Right? But I heard it as they're laughing at me because I'm not good enough.
Which is terrorizing.
I'm making a mistake, right? This isn't good.
Yeah.
So I decided right then, two things. If you're going to laugh at me, I'm going to be in charge of the laughter. That's one thing I decided.
Oh, look at you, getting the driver's seat right there.
Yeah, and 2, you're not going to see it unless it's polished, right? No rough drafts. You're only going to see the final product, right?
Yeah.
Which then meant, how can I answer a telephone with no script, no final product? It will be unpolished. It's too risky. It will be humiliating, and I will be 4 again with those feelings in my body of being not enough and less than and unsafe and humiliated.
Yeah.
And
you know, a lot of folks in psychology or a lot of folks will be like, yeah, you were just a baby, right? You were just a kid. But the thing is that we recreate that terror as an adult.
Yep.
Right.
And so I was living that. That was just with me, right? It was me, right?
Wow.
Until I got to see that.
Yeah.
A 5-year-old decided that.
Yeah.
5-year-old, that happened, and a 5-year-old made up stuff about him. And he's been holding on to that and reinforcing it with evidence and evidence and evidence and evidence.
Yeah.
And until he's able to acknowledge, I made that up.
Completely. Yeah, and there's...
I could let go of it.
Yeah. And there's so many places that do this well, you know. Landmark we've been talking about in particular, but folks who do inner child work, therapy, you know, like all of those things, you know, but there's a certain time to address it, right? Yeah. Because I don't know of anyone who's gone through it that has gone through it scot-free, right?
Totally.
It's part of or people call it shadow work, right? So
yeah, and I don't know if that fully addressed that question, but that's right. The real part of it, right, is like in many cases, the answer, if you're looking for an answer, is to stop doing what you're doing, right? Because likely what you're doing is keeping it going, right? Like what you resist persists, right? What you are fighting against is the thing to surrender to, if you use those type of terms.
Completely.
But to allow, right? To allow it to be. And, you know, and so that's one. And there's been lots of others, right? Like the other really powerful one was just the ability to choose life exactly the way it is and exactly the way it isn't is very powerful in then having the ability to say something new. But until you can choose it the way it is, and more particularly the way it isn't, you're stuck with it. There's just no other option but then to try to change it, manipulate it, change me, try to be a little different, try to be...
Yeah. Which goes back to being our very old selves of being very shy,
right? And so that was one. And then the other part I think that was in that same question that I did want to leave people with is, I really feel that in all of the potential ways that people have been discovering to evolve ourselves as humans, to become better people, to tap into energy sources, to find the spiritual, I believe all of that stuff is working for the evolution of humanity, for people.
Completely.
I also think there's 2 points I want to make. The one first one that I always get a kick out of, this is the levity, is we just have to acknowledge that we're not as evolved as we think we should be at this point, right? It's just has not been that long since we were in the caves. Evolution is a little slower than we want it to be. So we still have some of the caveman stuff, right? Like if you really looked at it, we are cave people walking around this world with smartphones and yoga pants, right? That's the image to take on, so that you can have a little bit of grace and compassion for people.
Completely.
It's like, look, your lizard brain is lizard braining.
It still thinks that there's dinosaurs around.
I love you. There's no saber-toothed tiger right there, but it feels like it is.
Yeah.
Right? Then the other thing I've discovered, and again, this is just my personal philosophy, is that the most direct access to all of that energy and spiritual stuff that we currently have is our speaking and our listening. Right? It's the thing that we have some say over, right? Like literally a say. And most people treat it like that's handled because we learn how to speak and listen really young. So it's like, oh, that's handled. I've been speaking since I was 3. So
I've been languaging.
Why do I need to discover anything about what I say, right? And so they just, they push it aside and think, all right, well, what I need to do is do some meditation work or some steep energy work, where it's like you could have a conversation, and in the conversation, the energy vibe of you and the person you're talking with gets so elevated so quickly that it would take you a long time sitting by yourself.
Well, like it is right now, completely.
In a beautiful place to get that charge up, where what's being created around you is a lot of good energy waves.
Completely.
Right? And that's another part that people really do miss.
Yeah.
That what we actually are saying is creating the worlds we're living in. And unfortunately, a lot of people, there's this cosmic joke, this cosmic punchline. People think that we are describing the world the way it is. We're describing how our life is. And most of the description is a complaint or some version of this isn't how it should be. This isn't it.
The world's a scary place now.
Right?
Not like when we were latchkeys.
Right? And here's the punchline. We think we're describing, and we don't get that we're creating. So we actually are creating the world we speak, thinking we're describing the world we're coming from. And the punchline is you're just creating what you just had. You're creating this perpetual loop of, right? You're always creating, and most people are creating their past because they're describing in language what they don't want and creating it to live into.
That is the worst gag that any clown could pull out. Like, that's the gag there, right?
That's the gag.
Speaking of gag, that was not a good segue. Manila is jumping in here. Manila's our producer, Manny, right? And he wants to play a game with you.
Okay.
And he said, are you up to play this game?
I like games.
Well, I hope you like losing, because no one's ever won this game. But it sounds like...
I like losing.
Yeah,
no longer means what it used to mean. I'm not going to wreck the world.
If you were a clown, would you do this right now? I feel like that's a very clown move. Okay, so what's going to happen is this. I am merely the person communicating between you and Manny, right? Manny's is gonna say a part of a sentence, and you are going to finish with one word or with a full-on diatribe, whatever you need.
My goodness,
right?
That's perfect for me.
Yeah.
Perfect for me.
Okay, so you've been talking a lot about joy, right? So he wants to know how you embody joy. Isn't that right, Manny? Yeah, that's what he wants to know. So
I embody joy.
Yep. And this is the first question or the first thing to answer. Joy tastes like
Oreo ice cream.
This is his $1 million studio right here. I can see through the glass. He's reaching underneath his desk. He's pulling out a bucket. The bucket is cold. It is orange. He's opening the top. He's putting in a spoon. He's showing me that there is Oreos in it. He's tasting it, and he's giving you 1 point. Joy tastes like Oreo ice cream. The first universal of life, right? All right. Wow. No one usually gets past that one. No one's done the Oreo ice cream before. Joy smells like.
Joy smells like fresh mint and basil in my herb garden.
Manny is also reaching underneath his desk. He's got a huge picnic basket. He's opening the picnic basket, and it's a garden inside the picnic basket of basil and oregano, and he is wafting it, and a single tear is coming down his eye. He gives you a thumbs up.
Manny
Oh
is
my God,
man.
no one has ever gotten 2 points on this game. No one. Okay, I don't even know where to go with this. Manny, help me here. Okay, he says just ask the next question.
That's the next
Question 2 points for you. Joy sounds like.
Joy sounds like the laughter of a family together.
Suddenly children and a wife and a husband, the cast of Modern Family, are in a circle.
Are in the studio, huh?
Around Manny, and they're singing to him. He has a bucket hat on. He takes his bucket hat off and holds it to his heart. It is true. Joy does sound like the laughter of a family. I don't know. We might have to cancel the show here. We've never gone this far before. He tells me to keep going. Okay. 4th question, 3 points you got. Joy looks like.
Joy looks like smiles and I'm looking at it, I'm seeing my child smile, I'm looking at my wife smile, I'm looking at you smile. It's the smiles in the eyes and big toothy grins.
Manny's got big aviator glasses on.
No.
And he's pulling them down like this. He's looking at your teeth. He's looking at my teeth. He's picking up a... How did you get that? He's got a picture of your kid smiling.
Wow, he's 11, so that doesn't happen all that often.
He's taking off his aviator glasses. And he smashes the picture. He's dancing on the... I told you, stop it, Manny. Minus 1,000 points. He does not like smiles.
No smiles for Manny.
Negative 997 points going into the last round, my friend. I told you. I told you.
Yeah,
I told you. My goodness. Did you have to smash the picture frame, bro? All right. He just said finish it off.
Finish. Whatever.
Okay. The last one's this. Joy feels like. What does joy feels like?
It feels like. Yeah, that's an interesting. What does joy feel like? What does joy feel like? Joy feels like. Oh, this is what joy feels like. The sun on my face, but a breeze, a comfortable breeze that's going by at the same time. So it's warm and comfortable, not too hot and not too chilly, just right.
Manny is opening the back of his studio, which is a beach.
Nice.
And there's a nice breeze flowing through. I didn't not even know we had this. There's a sunroof in our studio that he's opening up.
Awesome.
The sun is shining on him. Like he's an angel that God is shining onto. The wind in his hair. 98 points.
Whoa.
From Manny.
Whoa.
By the skin of your teeth, Aaron, you have won Manny's joy game. Which means this. You're going, I see you organizing your stuff. You're like, I'm getting ready to leave. This is the final question here. So this podcast, my company, the things that I do are about joy revolutions. A joy revolution can be one, two, or both things. Number one is, and I think you felt this before, when you are just so overwhelmed by what's going on in the world that it feels like your heart overfloweth. You know, whether you be a clown or what you're doing, helping people with finances. Also, in a joy revolution, a joy can be used as a leadership tool to get people activated and moving. Some people call joy revolutions ikigai. Other people call joy revolutions game in the world. So with all of that said, my friend, what is your joy revolution?
What is my joy revolution? Wow. Well, the current joy revolution that I'm involved in right now, like halfway through, it's a game that I designed with my family for the summer called the Summer of Celebrations. And the way the game works is we are having parties all summer long, and we're inviting people from our lives to be in the party and to invite people in their lives to come join us in the party too, so that we are spreading that family laughter, right? So this last week I had my son's birthday party, right? We had new people show up. Next weekend we're doing a neighborhood garage sale and a block party. So I'm really excited about that one because we're going to go and meet everybody in the neighborhood, right, and invite them to, after their garage sale, to come over to our house and have pizza and hot dogs and drinks and just visit and just, get to know the people that live and sleep close to you. Maybe you don't know, right? And so
yeah,
that's it. And then it culminates with my my anniversary is July 1st. So we're going to do a little party for my anniversary. It'll be 26 years. Yo. And then at the end of summer, we're going to do another summer blowout where we're going to kind of involve the people from the beginning, people from the block, people from school, and have a big summer culmination.
This is incredible.
Year, right?
That is incredible, Aaron.
Yeah, so we're measuring it with hundreds of people. We have 100 people and 20 people that have never been to my house show up.
I love it. If you invite Manny, make sure you don't measure it in smiles.
No,
because he's not about smiles.
Heck no.
Aaron, we're gonna continue the conversation, man. I don't know about you, but we just went into flow. Don't even look at the time, bro. I'm gonna put in all Aaron's contact information, what he's up to. We're gonna keep in touch with you, Aaron, and thank you again for coming on the show. So, on behalf of Aaron and myself, for your sake, for my sake, for our sake, for goodness sake, start your revolution. Start it in love, in light, in shadow, and in joy, baby. And I deem this podcast complete. All right, this wraps up another episode of the Joy Revolution podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And since you made it this far, go ahead and hit subscribe. Now, if you want to hear more podcasts, or if you're ready to engage with a community who will support and challenge you, if you're ready to start your own Joy Revolution, head on over to my online community, The Underground. The link is in the description. It's free to sign up. I've got a bunch of resources in there, including my own Joy Revolution course. So until next time, I'm Marc Cordon Creative. Dig deep, and I'll see you in the underground.